Welcome back to International Scale Modeler. I'm Lee. Today we're going to do something new. This is something that I've tried. I've bought one of these AK interactive modulation sets. Now this is obviously before MIG and all that lot left AK. But I haven't tried any modulation before at all on any kits. So I thought I'd do a video of a newbie trying these modulation sets for the first time. So what I'm going to do from start to finish, I'm going to build a little 172 tank, try the modulation set on it and everything, and see how we go. And you can watch my progress all the way through. It could be complete and utter crap, or it could turn out really nice. I don't know. As I say, I've never done modulation before, and so it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. But if we go to the overhead now, and I'll show you what I've done so far and what kit I'm using. I've actually used one of these. Now these are Armour Fast. This is a Panzer 4G. Now these are 172 kits, and I picked up these. I picked up loads of these actually from Telford Scale Model World. £7 a pair for two. Inside each box you get two kits, two exactly the same. There's not a lot to them. Okay. They're very, very basic, but they're great for a little hour, 2 hour build, and then you can have a mess around. I think they're for wargaming, but they are a good scale, 172. So the detail on them and the everything else is a bit lacking. Okay, there's not a lot of detail on there, but for that price, for that money, I think they're brilliant. I mean, I've been building one with my son, which is this one here. Okay, and my son's, he's only 7 or he's nearly 8, but he's base coated this and he's going to spray this and everything. You don't get any decals in these or anything. Okay, they're decal free. You can, I would imagine you can buy some decals at 172 from pretty much anywhere like Hannon's or something like that. But they're great little kits, as you can see from the instructions. That's all you get. The instructions on the back. And there's loads of parts on there that aren't on the instructions as well that you have to guess where they're going. But really good, great value for money. £7 for two sets. So you get 4 models for £7. So I thought they were brilliant. I think they're a little bit more than that normally, but couldn't resist, and I bought some. I think I bought about 6 in total, and I shall get a load more as well because I think they're brilliant. And you can put loads of them. I'm going to line them all up on the shelf. I'm going to have a shelf dedicated to them in the man cave. But anyway, so that's the kit. Obviously I've done a review. I think we've done a review on one of the modulation kits before, but I'll quickly go through it with you. So you get 6 bottles, and so this is the Panzer Grey one. This is something this is a bit of a practice session for a larger tank I've bought that I want to do in this. So this is a good way for me. You get 6 different colours, as you can see inside there. Now I don't know. I know AK is going to have to change their paint developer because they're split up with MIG and everything, so I don't know what these will be like in the future going forward. This is one of the older sets. You get 3 colours. You get shadow, you get Dunkel Grau shadow, Dunkel Grau dark base, Dunkel Grau base, and then you've got a light base, a highlight, and then a Dunkel Grau shine. Now these are all numbered in order, and as I say, they look they're the usual, like the Vallejo bottles really. They probably don't need much thinning, if they've got 10-15%, something like that. Okay, so if we pop those back in the box for the time being, on the back of the box it does have a very basic guide on how to use these. I know there's loads on the internet and things like that. To be honest with you, I haven't looked, so I'm doing this just straight from the box. So this will be complete start to finish modulation as a newbie would do it. Okay, so I've never done this before, so I'm on a trip here as well, guys. But as you can see, now they're calling for a white base on this, and I went ahead and did my black base. Now this is, I've made the model up so far, as you can see, and you know, not bad quality at all, I don't think, you know. But I went ahead and painted it black, obviously, like you do. As you see, we've got all the tracks and everything here. I went ahead and painted this black and exhaust and all that lot, and then realised that it needed a white base. So I went over the white. Don't need to do the tracks or anything like that. So that's going to be a separate thing for now. So I went over again with the base. The black base I used was the Vallejo surface primer. This is brilliant stuff. I mean, you leave this for a day or two and it has, you know, you can hit it with a nail and it really doesn't scratch or anything like that. It's brilliant stuff, especially for AFV. It's not so good on some fine aircraft because the rivet detail on aircraft can be lost with this because it's quite thick. So anyway, we've got that, and then I went over again with this AK Interactive Surface Primer White, which is absolutely crap. I hate it. It's horrible stuff. I should have gone over it with Tamiya White. If you're going to do white base or any paint with white, use Tamiya XF1. This. Do not use anything else. This is the only white you will ever need. It does everything. Okay, so get rid of all your other whites. Just use Tamiya White because this stuff was awful. It really was. Anyway, this is where we are now. I didn't completely coat it. I mean, I did about 5 coats of this stuff, and you can still see the black through it. That's how bad that white is. So what I will do is I'll probably give it another coat of Tamiya White just over the top, just to really whiten it out. Or I might leave that. I quite like the effect that it is at the moment, so I haven't quite made up my mind. But as you can see, these build up quite nicely. Let's see if I can get you just to focus a bit without having there you go. So it's not amazing detail. There's a lot missing, but they go together really easy. A little bit of work. You have to drill out the end of the barrel. Okay, and the same on the exhaust. They're not drilled out, but once they're done, they do look really effective, I think. So that's it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go and pop into the paint booth, and we'll start with the first one, which is the Dunkelgrau Shadow. Now all this does, as you can see, is basically a line across the bottom over the white, so just really pick out a really dark base. Then you've got a dark base going over the top. I can't see that this shadow is going to do anything because I can't see how it's going to come out through that, but I will do a light coat of dark base over the top. Now how we're going to work this, I'll go into the spray booth. Obviously we'll set the camera up at the spray booth. You can watch me do it. I'll speed the process up while I'm spraying so you're not sat there bored for hours on end, but you'll see me pick it up right from start to finish, the whole modulation sequence, as I say, from a newbie's perspective, and we'll see how it turns out. So let's go over to the spray booth. Right, so here we are in the spray booth. Now my weapon of choice is the Harder & Seaback Infinity CR Plus, which I bought from aircraft.net, and I've got to say, this airbrush, I've had a Badger Renegade Chrome for quite a while, and I thought that was really good, but this has completely changed my airbrushing skills. It's really gone up a level. So if you can afford one of these, I suggest you get one because they are absolutely brilliant bits of kit. Now what else we've got, obviously if I do need to thin, I should use our Ultimate airbrush thinner. Also I've got the paints all laid out here. There's not going to be too much hassle, I think, just a quick clean in between coats because they're pretty much the same colour. But we're starting off here. I'm going to start on the base now. Looking at the pictures and the advice on the back of the packet, we're going to do all this with the dark shadow base, all this lot, and then we're going to go down into the lines, just around the edges, and just create a shadow all around the hull and the turret, just at the bottom where all the shadows would be. Now, the modulation set, so the aim is to get it so that the sun's shining down on it. So you've got to decide before you start painting where you want the sun to be shining from, the effect you're going for, and what angle you're going to do it from. Now obviously I'm going to do it as it's shining down pretty much on top, but just from the front elevation a bit, I think. So so that will give you an idea of what I'm going to be aiming for. So I'm going to be getting into all these little bits of crevices in here and things like this. Now I should be spraying this at 22 psi, and we'll see how we go. I'm not going to thin it at first. I'm just going to do a little bit of tester before I thin it and everything, and then see how we do. But so let's get on with it. Now before I start, I haven't decided what music I'm going to put over this, but when I speed it up and I'm spraying and everything, I'm going to either put some really cheesy music or some nice music on, so you'll have to wait and see for that. But I'm going to give it a good shake. Okay. Now I used to put nuts in the bottom of these bottles, 5mm stainless steel nuts, but they started rusting after a while, so I'm not going to bother doing that anymore. But there you go. So that's well and truly shaken. I'm just going to try. This has all been cleaned out, obviously. And I'm going to try just 10 drops or so, and let's just see how we go. Check your flow. Coming out quite well, look, see? Okay, looks quite nice. Right, so I've got the pressure, as I say, at 22 psi. Let me just double check that, because it's, yeah, just take it down a notch. So we're at 22 psi, and it looks like the flow's going to be okay. It's not coming out bad at all. It's not getting stuck and on the needle. So it might not need thinning. So we'll see how we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the hull, and I'm just going to spray the base at the moment. So cue cheesy music. Oh, and I must put my extractor on as well. Now cue cheesy music. Well, I'm just going to stop there. I'm just going to say that after spraying this a little bit, it definitely does need a spot of thinner in there. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more. It just needs a little bit because it's just sticking a bit on the tip. So get some of this ultimate. Just put. As you can see. More in there. Okay. Have a little mix. Now you could combat this by spraying at a higher temperature, but it might come out a bit lumpy if you do that. So I'm going to keep it at this pressure and just add a bit thinner. There's probably about 20% thinner in there. Okay, so not too much. Good stir. Try that again. Yeah, that's. Yeah, that's coming out much nicer. Okay, so let's try this again. Right, let's fan back on. Right, okay, I'm just going to let that dry for a second. It is taking a while to dry actually, so I'm going to give that 5 minutes, and I'm going to turn it over and we'll do the upper hull and everything. Right, okay, so that's taken about 10 minutes to dry. We're just having a look on the bottom of there. You see that's pretty much dry enough. I'm just going to lightly touch it on this white tack that I have on the bottom of there. I might have to go over that bottom again, but that's by the by. So I'm just going to do all the little dark shadows and everything that it suggests on the back, where all the darkness would collect on a real model, and we'll take it from there. So cue cheesy music again. Right, as you can see, I've got the hull done now. You see, it doesn't need a lot, it's just enough to darken those areas where a shadow might fall. As I say, I'm going down into the top, but I've left a bit at the back as well, because I want to do this as a bit of an experiment and everything, to just see how it goes all the way round. Okay, so that's dried for 10 minutes. As you can see, we've got a line of shadow across the base there. Now, we've got to remember, this is 172 scale, so it's not going to be as neat as it would be on 135, because the same model on 135 would be yay big and a lot easier to get in tight. So you know, it's going to be a little bit rough, but I think that's pretty much the idea there that we've got on that one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go onto the turret, and we're going to cue cheesy music again. Right, there you go. As you can see, I had all sorts of problems with that. I've got to say that that is a horrible paint to spray. It really is a horrible paint to spray. It's no, you just don't know how it's going to come out of the gun. As you can see, it's just comes out all different thicknesses. This is well mixed. 1 minute it comes out fine, the next minute you just don't know what you're going to get. So I don't like that paint. Now that, bearing in mind that as I have actually mixed that now, what have I mixed that at? That's probably about 30% thinner to paint, and it's still, you can't get a smooth flow on it at all. It just, I've stripped the airbrush down before I did this, so it's not the airbrush, that's clean. There's nothing wrong with the airbrush at all. This stuff just does not like coming out in an even tone. So we've got that down. So what we're going to do now is going to let that dry for a little bit. I know there's a few splashes on there, but to be honest with you, I think the next base will cover the majority of that up. We shall see. So we'll move on to the next one. Right, okay, so next we're going to try the dark base. Now this has to be smothered all over. We're going to give it a good shake. Now I'm going to try this one without thinning it again, just to see if this is any different. We've got a good amount in there. Obviously it's had a shake, so we don't need to stir it. Now this seems to be coming out a lot nicer. Yeah, look at that. Get a nice flow on that. So I don't know what what was up with this one, but didn't want to spray at all. So let's try this one anyway. Let's get my glove on, and we shall. Right. Okay. So I'm going to do the base again in this grey, because this is the proper grey now. So let's get cheesy music time. Going to let that dry a little bit longer, as it's still a little bit wet, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so that's dry, so we're just going to do the top. Right, okay, so you can see that was a bit easier to spray. What I did do is I didn't thin it, and I turned up the pressure. What we at? We are at 25, so that is the recommendation for that. Pressure at 25. I suppose because it's not thinned at all, that's what it should be. So the first level was my bad. But to be honest with you, putting this shadow base on here seems completely pointless to me. Now I've tried not to spray over it, but it really, you just can't tell the difference where it is and where it isn't. It's right up underneath the light. There is no shadow. No, I can't see a shadow anywhere. So I don't know what that is all about, I must say. That seems like a pretty pointless exercise, that first one. So we should see what the next one's like. So we're going to move on to the next colour, which is Dunkelgrau Base. All right, here we go. Actually, I forgot to say, I'm going to do a quick clean of the airbrush just to show you how I do it. Now, there's a little bit of paint left in there. I don't know if you can see that there. Okay, so what I basically do, let me just move this out of the way, is I would tip out any excess that I can get out. Usually I'll put it back in the bottle, but they're a bit of a faff to get in these bottles. Wipe out any excess into the pot in front of the spray booth until it's empty. Then we put half a cup full of thinner. Old brush that I've got, this is just purely for cleaning. Give it a good rinse round inside, right down to the bottom to the needle, all the way around the cup, around the rim as well. I always get a bit on the outside, so give the outside a brush and give the tip a good brush as well. Okay, and we can give it all a clean, and literally I'll go around the brush, around the tip, and it's nice and clean. And then a back will flush it. This is something I've only started doing recently, but quick back flush just in case there's any paint inside the thing itself, as you can see, bubbling away in there. Okay, tip it out onto a bit of excess tissue, which I've got a thick wadge of it here. This is a new one. My old one is absolutely gets solid with paint. So give it another clean out. Now you don't want to backwash it, spray through. I'll put a little bit more cleaner in there, not a lot, as you can see there. Okay, then as you can see, it bubbles a lot better this time. Just getting the excess little baddies out there if there's any paint dried inside the cup or inside the tube. And then I'll just one more little tiny tad of it, and then I'll blow it through. And as you can see or hear, there's actually bits stuck in that. So what I'll have to do now is I'll have to do a strip down on that, because actually some of that paint has got stuck in. There's a bit on the needle, I can hear it. And I'll just give it a... Oh, that's not. It's just come undone a bit. There you go. Yeah, that's much better. Right. Okay. So these harder and steam becks, the ends come loose really easily. Oh, I've found so, because you don't want to over tighten these things. So there you go. All working fine now. And you can find you'll have a little excess of colour in there. And then I usually just put a bit of normal thinner, because of the cleaner will affect the paint on your next brush. If you're going straight to another brush, the cleaner will affect it, because it's quite strong compared to the thinner, and obviously completely different materials and everything. So I always give it a clean out with the thinner, just a little bit right at the end, just to get any excess paint. Now it's running clear. Okay, I tend to do, a lot of people do hot changes where they literally just put a bit of thinner and into the next colour. I actually go the full Monty and do the full works, as if I'm, putting the paintbrush, the airbrush away for the day. But so we're going to go on to the next one, which is the Dunkelgrau base. Now that was the dark base that we just did. Now this one is going to be, it's going to need a stir, I think, because there's a lot of colour, a lot of pigment left on the bottom of the bottle. So I might take that out and just give that a wee stir. And what I use for stirrers, where did I put them? I use these, which you can get kindly at McDonald's, little McDonald's coffee stirrer. They're free, but there's a lot of colour on the base of this, so it's probably been standing for quite a while. So I'm just going to get that a good stir in the bottle. Okay, right, let's try that now. Let's pop that back on. As I say, usually I'll put nuts inside these to do this, but after the last go, I'm not going to do that again. So, right, so this is the Dunkelgrau base. So this was the dark base, and this is meant to be, it looks like literally a shade lighter. Okay, so what we're going to do on this one, it says on the instructions here, as you can see, apply the dark base all over. You've got the shadow, which was pointless. I wouldn't even bother doing that. I'll put the white down because I think that might have an effect, but I'll just go straight to dark base. I don't see any point in that at all, not in the slightest. Now then you've got the base. You can see it's slightly lighter here, so I'm going to leave areas that would appear dark. So the areas that I've done here I wouldn't touch with the base. Okay, so there will be that slight modulation of light there. This one to this one I don't get, because you don't see that at all. But this one I will see. I think we'll see the difference. So what we'll do is, I'm just going to. Right, sorry about that. The camera ran out of juice. So we're going to go on now to the next one, which is going to be the lighter version. So we're going to miss out the bits that we did on the highlights here. We're just going to miss out on this bit. So we're just like the exact opposite. Right, so Dunkel Grower Bose AK163. So again, I'm just going to pop a decent amount in there. That should be enough. Right, check the flow. Right, that seems pretty nice. Now, as I said before, this is 172, so when you get up to the higher ones, it's going to be a bit easier with the 135s than we are doing with the 172. But I just thought I'd do this to practice on, just to see how we get on with this stuff. So I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to do the lighter areas now, and just see how we come out. Right, okay, you can see now that you won't be able to pick this up on camera, I'm sure, but that is ever so slightly ever so slightly light. It is literally one shade. You can see that the this come up for you. I don't know if it's going to see, but the colour's actually separated in the cup as well. So, but I mean, if you have a look on these sprays here, this is literally one shade. There's one shade between each of these. Makes spraying a bit hard, I've got to say, because you kind of guessing, you've got to see where it goes wet on the surface to ascertain where it is. But I can see a very, very slight gradient on that. I doubt if you will be able to. But we're going to go on to the next colour now, so I'm going to give this another clean out, and then we'll go on to the next colour. Right, okay, so we're now going to go for the light base. Now this is, looking at it, a couple of shades lighter than the last one we did. I don't know if you can see this, but you can see this lot of this paint stuck around the bottom there. That's really, because it's just not mixing properly. So again, I'm going to have to take that out and stir that. As I say, usually I would use nuts on these, but oh yeah, there's lumps of it at the bottom here. Oh god, massive lumps of it. Yeah, this is really. Really bad. Okay, so I'm going to give this a good stir. Yeah, if you see any colour left in the bottom of the jar, you know it's not all mixed in, so you want to really give it a good scrape down there as well, because I can see it, there's things on there. Now this, you can see, is a lot different colour, so this is a lot lighter. So we're going to have to go careful with this one, because it's going to have quite an effect on that base. Right, okay, let's have a look, see what we've got. Right, literally, with these paints, the good thing about these dropper bottles is, I've got to say, with the AK and the Vallejo ones, is you tend not to waste a lot of paint, because you really don't, even though it doesn't, yeah, you can see there straight away on there the difference in the colour. Okay, so again on this one we're looking at, we've just got to do, it's a light base again, it's going all over, but again just leaving the areas that you've already darkened down, working less and less on those edges. So what we need to do, pop that back on there. Right, so as you can see from that has made a considerable difference. I haven't done the turret yet, I'm just about to do that, but really that does make a massive difference. I've got to say that between those coats, you can just see where the underlying coats are coming through, but very, very gently. As I say, on a 135 tank, this would really come into its own. So I'm just going to do the turret now as well. Right, so there you go. So that is, we've still got 2 more to go, believe it or not. But I'm just going to bring you in a bit here. I'm trying to see if you can really get in and see this. Let me pop the light down as well. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see the difference that last one makes as you go onto the top of the hull here. This is all going to be dark and weathered anyway, but you can really see the actual modulation starting to take effect. I think you don't have to take so much care with the lower layers, I've got to say. I would, excuse me, I'll just go. Sorry about that, my camera ran out of room. Anyway, so you can see that the modulation is really starting to take effect there. And if you have a look on this one as well, I'm trying to put out the glare, you can just see it starting to take effect just around the edges and things like that, where it would naturally be. And I've got to say, I'm just going to put a bit more on that. That'll be drenched in sun around the front there. So you've got to remember where your sun is hitting it. Mustn't forget that. But as you can see, you can really start to see the modulation take effect here, where we're just going one shade at a time. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go on to the next colour, which is, what have we just done? We've just done a light base. We're just going to go on the Dunkelgrau highlight. So I'm going to clear some space on my camera because there is no space whatsoever. Oh, let's bring you out. I do apologise. See what I'm doing there. So we're going to go on to this one next, and I'm going to clear some space on the camera and then we'll come back. Alright. Right, okay, so we're going to go on to the last colour now, which is the Dunkelgrau highlight. Now I've given this a good shake and a stir. You have to stir these, they're really clumpy at the bottom. So I've given the airbrush another clean through, and obviously you don't want to watch me see it doing 3 million times. Now, pop a little bit in there. I don't think we're going to need a lot, because this is literally just like a highlight, this one. Now, as you can see on the box, you can see this is the light base that I've just done, and we're now going to go on to the highlight. So you really are got to think about where the sun is coming from, what angle you're going to picture this from. As I say, I'm going from on top of the tank right down across the body, so he's actually facing the sun, the tank. And I'm going to try and work away. Now obviously you're going to have to do lots of little tiny things and things like this, because it's 172 again. I can't get the accuracy that you could do with a 135, unfortunately, but it will show us a good sighter for this. So let's crack on. Check my flow again. Oh yeah, all good. Yeah, definitely my bad earlier where I didn't have the air pressure up high enough for these, and that's exactly what the problem was. Right, okay, so we're going to look at the sun. So literally we're just coming in with light, very light touches. So you want your I'm calling that done on that colour. So hopefully you can see. Let's bring you in again. You can see on this stage. Hopefully you can see that there's some real modulation coming out now. As you can see, the sun's hitting the front of the tank, and then at the rear it's quite dark. We're just going to do those corners. The sun would catch the corners like so. Okay, so you can see now there is a definite modulation and a colour difference down the sides here. I'm hoping this camera is going to pick this up. I'm pretty sure it will. But as you can see, you've got the front fenders here are bright, and as they go back they get darker and darker and darker as they get back. Same with the sides. Okay, and the front is quite shiny, whereas the rear might just need a bit, just to tone, just to bring that colour in a bit. There you go, that's better. Okay, and the same on the turrets. Okay, as you can see, looking at the front here, you've got your dark areas, especially around the back here and things like that. Let's pull you out a bit, sorry. And you've got your dark areas here at the back, and you've got your shaded areas. So the sun's coming down there. Let's say the front is quite bleached. You get around the back and it's a lot darker, and so is the undersides and everything. So hopefully we'll be looking good. We've got one more colour to go. Right, so here we go. We got the last colour. This is really starting to take a shape. I'm actually really enjoying this now. I think my problem was at the beginning I didn't stir the paints enough. I think that's why there's not so much variation in the shades and the colours that I was using. So, right. Now this, I doubt we're going to use hardly any of this. This is called Dunkel Grail Shine. And this is hardly going to use any of this, I would imagine. Okay. Right, so this one, I think you've got to pay particular attention to this because, well, being careful, I mean, because this is the final one before you do the coat. Obviously, there's no decals for these, but usually you gloss and then matte coat over. But so I'm just gonna. Right, okay, that's me done. I do apologise about the length of these, so let's just zoom you in a bit so you can have a look, see what you think. I'll wait till that dries and then we'll have a look on the close-ups over the other side. Right, okay, so we're back over onto the main bench now, just to have a look, see how it's come out. Now I've let it dry for about an hour and a half. I think it needs a matte coat on it and then a filter just to tie it all in. But I'll have a look at it. We'll have a look at it now before I do that, and just so it gives you an idea of what we got. Now, if we go to the overhead, we're going to look at be able to see it a bit closer. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit for you, and hopefully you get the idea. Okay. Now obviously I'm looking at it so that the sun's coming down that way, down and onto the top of it. So if you were looking at it, that's what you would see head on. Okay, which I think it kind of looks okay. not 100% happy with it. As you can see, I think a little bit more work needs doing just down here on these parts, on the rear quarters over the engine. But apart from that, that's the first time I've ever tried modulation, so that's a newbie's first crack at it. I mean, obviously I've got some overspraying things down here, but this will all be finished off later. But as you can see, it is effective. I think really it's going to take a couple of times just to get the hang of it. And then once you've got the hang of it, I think that's going to turn out to be a nice little tool in your armoury. Now obviously, let's just get this back out a bit. Obviously when I did the first spraying, I had a bit of a cock up with the first couple of bits of spraying, and that was my fault in the fact that I didn't, it wasn't, the pressure was too low really, even though I thinned it. I started spraying it, it was at, but we've seen 28 and 30 psi is what that was sprayed at, 25 to 30 psi, and that's when I got the decent results and it started laying down some smooth colours. There were a few bits of overspraying, things like that, that I wasn't happy with, but I think it's just a case of getting used to the paints. I've never used AK paint before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But as you can see, I think that is quite effective. Obviously there's a lot of light glare here, but I mean that's kind of the effect that you're trying to go for with that, and I do like that. I just think these bits just need, this is a little bit too bright, I would say, just needs toning down a bit, which is, I think, is where a filter would come in into the equation. But overall, I would say that yes, I think they're quite good, and I'm definitely going to practice on. I've done that little one. I think I've got enough knowledge now just to go on to do the 135 one that I had planned for it, and think to myself, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing. And this time on 135 it's going to be a lot easier. Obviously everything's a bit more drastic on 172. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, before I do this at the end of the video, I should put a quick gloss coat on it, put some tritone camo, put some sin filter on there, okay, try a bit of that, and then I shall matte coat it with a bit of Alclad. This is brilliant, best flat coat you can get, and I will report back to you and see what it's like after that. So okay, until then we'll just sign off. I'm going to go back, do a little bit more spraying, and I'll come back and we'll see the results. Right, okay, I've had a bit of a boo-boo. I went to put some of this filter on. I honestly don't think I've let the paint dry long enough, although it's been 2 or 3 hours. I probably should have left it overnight before I put the filter on, but I was eager to get the video done, and I've kind of messed up the model completely. Although I didn't do the turret, I have clear coated the turret. So if you go to the overhead, you should be able to see that, I think. Let me just zoom in a bit for you, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean. As you can see, the sin filter has eaten into the paint, and it's left this blue streaky residue, or motley, and it does feel quite soft, I've got to say. So I think I've made a boo-boo there. I've done that too early, which is a shame, but this will go in a little vat of IPA, and I'll strip that and give it to my son to play with as well, which is a bit of a shame. But what you can see is once it is clear coated, obviously the turret didn't get done, now it's not so glary. You can see how that modulation works, and as I say, this is the first time that I've used it. As you can see underneath, nice and dark underneath, and you get all this modulation all the way around, and I think it looks really good. I don't know if the camera's picking it up well enough, but it really does look like, you know, if you're doing a DO with it on the summer day, that looks really good. I think I would go a lot less heavy with the very last one, the shine. I think that needs to be just light, very, very light passes on that. But as you can see, I like the result. I think it's a good result, and it's actually a good product. But I will say this same thing. These sets are £18 each, if I remember rightly. This same effect can be achieved with one colour of grey, just you start off with a dark grey. You know, we've got this one here. This is a Dunkel Grau. Okay, but that's quite light. You start off with a dark grey, a Dunkel Grau. You've got 2 hobby colour ones there. Okay, you'd start off with that, you work up to a couple of coats, and then you'd have your shine coat as that one, your top coat. And that would do you. So you don't have to spend £17 doing that, I don't think. I think you can be able to do that. In fact, I'm going to try another one of these using that as well. But as a set, for a new beginner and everything, I think they're very good. They are. It does what it says on the tin. Unfortunately, I messed this up. It's my fault for putting the filter on too soon. I thought it'd dry, the paint would dry through. Obviously, it wasn't dry underneath. But as you can see, with a bit of shine there, the shine's gone, and it's a really nice effect. And it's just a shame we can't see it all in one go. But yeah, so I would say for £18, if you don't want to mix paints or anything like that, then it's a definite. I think that's good, and it's a good little art to practice, because it really does make it look a bit different. And I can't wait to get cracking on my Panzer 4 that I've got, the big one I've got. I'm going to do that myself, and I do like that effect. But unfortunately, as I say, I've ruined it. Luckily, this is only a little 172, and this is a test piece, so that'll go back and strip that back down and go back to normal. But really, that is, as you can see, it's a shame. It does look good on there, but it's just a shame that I've ruined it. But that is the AK Panzer Grey modulation set from a newbie's perspective. As I say, I don't do tanks. I've only done one 172 tank, or one 176, and one 135 tank. I'm not a tank guy, I'm an aircraft guy. So the first time I've done paint modulation on a tank. It's pretty much like pre-shading and post-shading on an aircraft, I've got to say, but with a little bit more finesse maybe. So I've given you a beginner's guide there. If you were to open one of those, I've not read any instructions on the internet anywhere at all, watched any videos how to do that. I've literally just gone off the 6 photos on the back. So that's the newbie starting guide to the AK modulation set. I think it's a good product in so much as that it really does throw a good light on your model. It does spray very dry, I've got to say. Even with thinner in it, still sprayed dry. And it's a bit rough, like sandpaper sort of thing. Not quite as rough as that, but it needs a good flat coat over the top. Well, if you'd cure it with a gloss coat if you're going to do decals anyway, so that wouldn't be too much of a problem. And then you'd weather it and things like that. But I really like it. Got to spray over 25 psi without a shadow of a doubt. And just take your time, and right from the very start, make sure you know where you want the sun to be, and then you'll get the exact effect that you're after. But that's it. So thank you, AK. I think that's good. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know it's a long one. I do apologise, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye bye.